The following Houston Astros Major League Baseball game is a home sports entertainment exclusive, presented in cooperation with Sportscom.
When the Astros ended their last homestand, they had closed to within a game of first-place San Francisco, taking 2 out of 3 against the Giants. But the road was a rocky one this last trip. The Astros going 3-7 and falling to 3 games back. Chris James with one of the super plays against Houston. But Kevin Bass is back in the lineup tonight for the first time in over 2 months as the Astros open a homestand against the Cincinnati Reds. Home Sports Entertainment presents Houston Astros baseball. Tonight's game is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch. We brew our fine quality beers to be enjoyed responsibly. Remember, know when to say when. And by Texaco, star of the American Road. And by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more? And by Fiesta. Discover for yourself Fiesta. Live from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, Home Sports Entertainment presents the best in Major League Baseball. And tonight, it's the Houston Astros going against the Cincinnati Reds. Well, there you take a look at the race when the Astros left town. 1 game back as of the end of July. And as they open up this homestand tonight, Houston now trailing by 3, and another team has entered the race, the San Diego Padres. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Worrell, along with Bill Brown. It was a tough road trip, Bill, winning only 3 out of 10 games. We saw the Giants go up by 3, but as I mentioned a moment ago, another team creeping up, and that's the Padres.
Well, the Padres have gotten themselves back in the race, and they're playing the Atlanta Braves in a doubleheader tonight, so everything's on the upbeat in San Diego. Meanwhile, we're concerned about the situation here in Houston, and the Astros obviously need a good homestand to try to negate what happened on that road trip. The last homestand was a very good one for them, but Cincinnati's been tough on them this year.
Let's see what kind of boost it will be to get Kevin Bass back into the lineup. So the Astros made a little deal today.
Well, Bass is back on the roster. He's hitting 3rd tonight, and Eric Anthony is headed for AAA Tucson. You remember he made the jump from AA, so it's still an advancement for Eric. But Kevin had a few games on a rehab assignment, and he's still a little bit sore when he runs, but says when he ices the leg, he's fine, and he's anxious to go again.
Rick Rhoden's had some good outings for Houston since coming off the disabled list. He'll be going against Tim Leary, always tough against Houston.
Well, he is, and Leary has found some new life as he's returned to the rotation after the trade from the Dodgers to the Reds. Meanwhile, Rhoden pitched very well in Cincinnati. He's only 1-3, but he, like Kevin Bass, has spent a lot of time on the shelf. So Rhoden and Bass really are 2 players who could contribute in a long way to what the Astros hope to do.
The Cincinnati Reds have literally run out of hospital beds this season. Pete Rose has been able to hold his team together with glue and tape, I should say, but he's putting a better team on the field day after day. They're getting some of the walking wounded back, and they've been playing pretty good baseball.
Well, they really have, Bill. They won 9 of 14, and the Astros can't feel sorry for the Reds. The Reds really beat up on them in Cincinnati, winning 2 out of 3, and we all remember what happened in the last game. So there's no time to let your feelings get in the way of what has to be done.
No, you got a homestand starting here, and Houston needs to start winning, and they'll try to do it in game 1 of the series coming up in just a moment. Houston and Cincinnati right here on HSE. Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to the Astrodome in Houston as we're getting ready to get this one underway. The beginning of a long homestand for Houston in the Dome. Have a good Friday night crowd on hand. We should have about 25 to 27,000 for tonight's opening game. Well, let's check out the umpires. Jerry Davis will be behind the plate. Eric Gregg, Jim Quick, and John Kibler, your umpires for tonight's game. The defense, and we'll set it up for Houston. It'll be Glenn Davis at first, Bill Doran at second, Rafael Ramirez at shortstop, Ken Caminetti will be at third, Billy Hatcher will be in left field, Gerald Young in center, and Kevin Bass back in right field. Craig Biggio will be behind the plate, and on the mound will be the veteran right-hander Rick Rhoden. 1-3 with a 3.46 ERA this season. He is 1-1 with a 2.16 ERA and 3 starts since his return from the disabled list. Lifetime against Cincinnati, Rhoden is 14-8 with a 3.13 ERA, and those 14 career wins by Rhoden against the Reds are the most against any Western Division team for Rick Rhoden. So he'll be trying to continue his superlative pitching that he's had since returning from the DL. Here's the lineup he'll face for Cincinnati. It's been a different one every night and day for Pete Rose. Mariano Duncan, Luis Quinones, Eric Davis, Ken Griffey, Rolando Rooms, Todd Benzinger, Jeff Reed, Ron Oster, and Tim Leary, the pitcher. So it's Rhoden versus the Reds. And Art Howe hoping that with Kevin Bass now back in the lineup, it'll give him a little more flexibility with the Astros. He'll be able to bat Bass either at that number 3 slot, move Doran around. If Doran can get hot with a bat, he can move Bass to the number 5 hole. And if you have a little trouble recognizing Kevin Bass, he shaved that mustache off when he was down in Tucson, so we see a little more of his face. Pete Rose, on the other hand, just trying to survive this season. What a nightmare it has been for Rose off the field as well as on, with all of the injuries he's had, trying to keep a healthy Cincinnati Reds team out on the field. He's had all kinds of different players in and out of the lineup. So for Pete, it's been a very troubled year, as well as for Cincinnati fans. Well, Rhoden's about ready to go, and here to call the play-by-play for you is Bill Brown.
Thanks very much, Bill Worrell. So Rhoden tonight, and then tomorrow afternoon it's Jim Deshaies and Ron Robinson. Sunday afternoon, back on HSE, Jim Clancy and Tom Browning. Should be a most interesting series with the same 3 pitchers going for the Reds, who pitched in the 3-game series against the Astros at Riverfront. Rhoden notched career win number 150. 14 of them, as Bill mentioned, have come against Cincinnati. That win number 150 was the 5-0 combined shutout on the 1st of August at Riverfront. Here's Mariano Duncan hitting .261 with 3 homers. He's driven in 16. And he had a bunt in mind, looking at strike 1. Since he was traded by the Dodgers to the Reds, he's hit .272. With his 3 long balls, he's hit 3 in the last 6 games. Duncan hitting .306 over his previous 17 ball games. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. The Reds won 2 and lost 2 at Candlestick. Duncan has helped to step in and solidify the shortstop position for them, with Barry Larkin, who was leading the league in hitting, out for an extended period of time. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count. Larkin injured his elbow in the skills contest at the All-Star game. Rhoden has spent a lot of time on the sidelines with some problems behind his right shoulder, tendonitis problems, and now he's doing a little gardening work on the mound.
You know, that happens a lot of times when the Astros come back from a long road trip. They've usually had several events here in the Dome, and the mound has been removed, so the pitcher usually has to clean it up the first game.
Gerald Young goes back, and he's still going back into center for the catch. Duncan charged one to the warning track, and Young caught up with it. 1 out.
Well, I think Young thought, like I did when the ball was first hit, that it wasn't going to go that deep. It didn't sound like it was hit that hard. The pitch looked like it was down low away from the plate, but he really gave it a charge. And only the outstanding speed by Young, he was able to run it down.
Luis Quinones has a 6-game hitting streak. This guy's been on fire. Looks at a strike. He's hitting .364 in the last 6 games. A switch hitter at .221 overall this year. He's hit 8 homers, and he's only driven in 15 runs on those 8 homers. And it's 0-2 for him. Quinones had 175 at-bats for Nashville. Hit .229 there with 4 homers and 24 runs batted in. He's playing third base. Still no balls and 2 strikes. The Reds setting a club record with their 14-run first. The last time the Astros saw them, they got 16 base hits in that frame.
Did you ever think that inning would end?
No, it didn't seem that way.
And yet it ended up being the fastest played game of the day.
Wasn't it, though? Tom Browning was on the mound, and he made up the difference. So Browning will be pitching Sunday. Comes into this series with quite a head of steam, and the Reds hitters supported him very well on that occasion. You wouldn't expect them to be scoring runs the way they have lately, but they scored 10 twice in their series with San Francisco. There's strike 3 call from Gary Davis. Quinones caught looking, 2 outs.
Great job of pitching by Roden. He worked him outside early in the count. Came back with a curveball on the 0-2 pitch. Had him set up beautifully as he got the fastball in under the hands where he couldn't swing at it. Just couldn't pull the trigger.
Here's Eric Davis now. He has 23 home runs. He's driven in 68, hitting .274. There's ball 1 to Davis. He's hit a home run off Roden this year, 2 for 7 against Rick, and hitting .343 against Houston with 3 homers and 10 runs batted in. 1 ball, 1 strike as he tried to hold back on his swing. Davis in his last 13 games has hit 5 homers. He's driven in 12 runs while hitting .314. He's gone deep 4 times in the previous 7 games leading into this one. Solid single in front of Gerald Young. With 2 outs, Davis is on.
Good relaxed stance at the plate. And look at that swing as he kicks up, reaches out. He's got a protective device on his left foot or left ankle.
Sometimes he'll stride out of the batter's box. You may want to keep an eye on that for later on in this series. That time he didn't. Ken Griffey has found a lot of playing time with the injuries and the trades. Cal Daniels having been traded to the Dodgers. Griffey's responded well. Davis has 11 steals. He's been caught 5 times, but because of his hamstring problems and the bone chips in his ankles, that's the reason why he wears the high top shoes. He really doesn't run all that much anymore. He might be, though, with Roden on the mound. We'll see.
Everybody was kidding Griffey down at the batting cage about being drafted into that new senior league in Florida. He said, man, I'm playing regular in the bigs.
Ken Griffey Jr., by the way, is due to return to the Seattle Mariners next week from a broken bone in his hand, while Ken Sr. is moving right along nicely through the last half of the season. 7 homers, 24 runs batted in. He hit a 3-run homer at Riverfront against the Astros in that big first inning the Reds had. Here's strike 1.
Well, he's red hot, and he can still hit, can he?
11 runs batted in those 14 games. Yes, he can hit, and especially when he's in the starting lineup. When he starts, he's a .309 hitter this year. Roden shows him the curveball, and it's 0-2.
Good change of speeds by Roden, who is very effective, has a nice curve. Fastball's not what it used to be, but he can spot it inside and out, as you saw on Quinones. But change of speeds is his game.
Davis is going, and there's a strikeout. No need to make a throw. Second strikeout in the inning. No runs, 1 hit. 1 man left. After a half an inning, there's no score.
All right, we'll set the lineup now for the Cincinnati Reds. Todd Benzinger at first, Ron Oster at second, Mariano Duncan at shortstop, Luis Quinones at third base. In the outfield, Griffey, Davis, and Rooms. Jeff Reed will be catching, and on the mound, the big right-hander Tim Leary, 7-9 on the season, 1-2 since becoming a Cincinnati Red. Tim is making his 4th start against the Astros this season, his 2nd for the Reds. He lost a 5-0 decision in Cincinnati back on the 1st of August, allowing 7 hits and 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings. So Leary will be facing the lineup of Craig Biggio, Rafael Ramirez, Kevin Bass, Glenn Davis, Ken Caminetti, and Bill Doran. Then it's Hatcher, Young, and Roden to fill out Art Howe's lineup. So Leary has faced the Astros a lot of times this season.
Well, Bill, as you know, he was not all that happy with being moved to the bullpen in Los Angeles. So even though the Dodgers having won the World Championship last year and Leary having been a big part of that, he did not greet the trade with all that much disfavor when he moved to a Cincinnati uniform.
Well, and another thing to keep in mind, too, this Cincinnati team, there have been great things predicted for this team a long time. If they can get it all together and get the healthy bodies out there, and who knows what's going to happen in the Pete Rose situation, it could be a very good career move for Leary.
Certainly could, because the Reds can regroup in a hurry with all their talent for next year. However, they still think they'd like to make some noise this year. And they've shown they can play on even terms with the top two in the West in recent days. Leary faces Craig Biggio, hitting .276 with 9 homers. He's driven in 41. And the pitch is up and in for ball 1. As the leadoff man, Biggio has been in the lineup when the Astros have gone 4 and 5, but keeping in mind he's done a nice job, but the club just hasn't been functioning well at the same time. 2 balls and no strikes, so that's a little bit misleading.
Well, it's funny. When the club didn't have a leadoff hitter to speak of, they were scoring some runs. Now they got a leadoff hitter who can get on base, but they haven't been able to move him around. Just look at what he's been able to do in that leadoff spot.
The Astros are 4th in the league in runs scored. Leary's coming close, but he's behind 3-0 in the count. He got the no decision Sunday against Atlanta. Went 6 2/3, gave up 8 hits and 2 runs, and the Reds went on to win it 3-2. And he misses outside, so Biggio draws the leadoff walk on 4 pitches. This is the first of 46 remaining games for the Astros and 9 left with Cincinnati. The Reds will be a big factor in what the Astros do from now on out.
And they're starting to get some players back in the lineup.
Rafael Ramirez, a .253 hitter, has 4 long balls. He's driven in 36. 7 of his last 10 hits have been for extra bases. Ramirez is 3 for 9 against Leary this season. Tim pitched brilliantly when he beat the Astros as a Dodger on the 16th of April, 2-1 with a complete game 5 hitter. Didn't walk anybody and fanned 6. His first strike of the night. It's 0-1, scoreless game, last of the first.
Well, that gives you a little idea of what a good clutch hitter Rafael Ramirez is. And I think he's perfectly suited for that number 2 slot. We may see him there more often. His ability to go to the opposite field and his ability to make contact on the hit and run.
Leary makes the toss to first. Jeff Reed throws out runners at a pretty good clip. Although the Reds have allowed 104 steals, but it's been 151 stolen base attempts by the opposition, so it's about 2 out of 3. Duncan to Oster, relay double play as Todd Benzinger takes Oster's throw, and Ron was dumped by Biggio. He really got rid of the ball in very quick shape.
One of the reasons why Oster is considered a very valuable part of this Cincinnati team you'll see right here. Duncan gives him a good throw. Biggio comes in, but Oster holds his ground and makes a perfect throw. He turns that double play as well as anybody.
That's the Reds' 84th twin killing of the year. Now Kevin Bass, who's been on the disabled list since May 28. He's hitting .290. 1 homer, 21 runs batted in. And the one hopper goes to Quinones, who gets him. No runs, no hits, nobody left. After 1, there's no score. Leads it off. Scoreless game. Top of the second. Rooms has 7 homers, 24 runs batted in, a .286 average. And he's trying to concentrate on hitting the breaking stuff, which has been a problem for him in the past. Roden started him off with a curve, but it was in the dirt for ball 1. Rooms has hit .304 for his last 17 games. It's a 1-1 count to him. He went 6 for 14 in that series in Cincinnati, including a home run against the Astros. Chokes up a little bit. That's unusual. He went around, and it's a 1-2 count.
I love his quote after the 14-run first inning. He said, man, we didn't get any rest on the bench. He said, every time I sat down, I was having to get up and congratulate somebody else.
First time you've heard a team complain about that. He squirts one to Glenn Davis, and Rooms is retired. 1 out in the second.
Boy, where did he hit that pitch? Looked like he went in the glove of Biggio and got it out.
It's hard to hit that ball there, isn't it?
I tell you got to cue it up. Now watch this. He hit it right on the end of the bat.
Yes, sure did. And did not hit it hard at all. So Roden made a nice pitch on Rooms, and he'll file that away, as will Rolando. Todd Benzinger's next. 11 homers, 50 runs batted in, a .241 average for this switch hitter. He got jammed and fouled it back. Strike 1.
Roden looks a little quicker to me tonight than I've seen him this season. He has been able to come inside effectively on the left-handed hitters. He jammed Benzinger on that pitch.
Well, Benzinger told a writer recently that every day when he looks in the newspaper, he looks to see what Nick Esaski did with Boston.
Well, he got a home run tonight.
Yes, he did. They were involved in that offseason trade. 1 ball and 1 strike. So there's that kind of pressure when you're traded, especially for the first time and still a relatively young player at age 26. Check to see what the other guy did. And Esaski's having a fine season for Boston. Benzinger down the line and left. It's foul. 1-2 the count.
Well, that was a deal that Esaski had to love, and Benzinger had mixed emotions about, because he played on a good Red Sox team. He was fitting in there in Boston quite well. Now he has to change and come to Cincinnati. Esaski, on the other hand, did not get along with Pete Rose at all. He was happy to get out of Cincinnati. You figured on him having a good year in Boston. Just the simple fact of the change of scenery.
Benzinger swings at one in the dirt. Biggio scrambles for it, throws on the run, and he got him. He really had to go make that play right away. That's a 3rd strikeout. Out number 2.
Well, he gets out from behind the plate as quick as any catcher I've ever seen. Now watch, he's lost this ball completely. Now this is a tough play. Sets himself and throws off his right foot.
Looked like a third baseman fielding a slow roller, Bill.
Well, he is a good third baseman.
Yeah, that is a very agile play for a catcher. Throwing with all that equipment on the run. Now here's Jeff Reed, the Reds catcher, hitting .242, 3 homers. He's driven in 20. Taking ball 1.
One of the games on the road trip, Bill, you had a play where Biggio on a bunt attempt lost the ball at first and then went back and made the catch at the wire. I don't think another catcher could make that.
He really is very good at reversing field and pouncing on balls out in front. 2 balls and no strikes. He's caught a number of short pop-ups that you'd have to figure would have gone untouched by a lot of catchers, and probably all catchers around the National League except for Craig. Reed has worked the count his way. 3-0 now. Jeff has driven in 5 runs in his last 6 games while hitting .409. He's hit .375 against Astros pitching, including a home run this year. He's 3 for 8 against Roden. Now it's 3-1 to him. Diaz, of course, has had knee surgery. He is out for the season. Reed gets a base hit past a lunging Billy Doran over into right center. The Reds get their second single of the game, and Ron Oster comes up.
That's the first pitch that Roden has had up high in the strike zone since he pitched to Eric Davis. This fastball now, he probably figures he's got some pretty good heat tonight too. He was going to try to throw it by Reed. The only problem is with a 3-1 count, the hitter's looking for that pitch.
Ron Oster's hitting .218. He has a homer. He's driven in 11. The switch hitter over the last 14 games has hit .357. He had some big ball games at Riverfront against the Astros. He's 0 for 4 against Roden this year. A lot of side-to-side break on that one from Roden. Down and in, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Oster really turned the double play nicely when Biggio went crashing into him in the first inning. And that's been his specialty over the years, a converted shortstop. He lines one into left for a base hit, and now the pitcher Tim Leary will come up with 2 on and 2 outs and no score here in the second. Two well-hit balls have the Reds in business if the pitcher can come through. Leary carries an .077 average into this at-bat with 2 runs batted in. He has 3 hits and 39 at-bats. The 30-year-old right-hander, Leary, won 17 last year for the Dodgers. Looks at a strike, 0-1. Comeback player of the year, former first-round draft choice by the New York Mets. It was Leary who snapped the Reds' 10-game losing streak with a win over San Diego, and he knocked in 2 in that win. His only 2 of the year. 1 ball, 1 strike. Last year, Leary won the Silver Slugger. He drove in 9 runs. He had 13 sacrifice bunts. Had a game-winning pinch hit in the 11th inning against the Giants in a 2-1 win. Caminetti will have to make the throw, and it's just in time to get Leary. Close play, ends the top of the second inning. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left. In the middle of the second, there's no score. Anniversaries, and there was a talk show this afternoon here in the Houston area in which the discussion got around to the Dome, which will be next year celebrating its 25th. And it seemed to be the topic of discussion that folks around Houston don't really appreciate the Dome as well as they might, because of the fact that it provides all the comfort. And of course, you get out of the heat, you get away from mosquitoes, and you watch good big league baseball.
You know, I heard part of the talk show you're referring to. I think it's fun if you've ever been able to visit and travel around the country. Wrigley Field, of course, is just a wonderful place to watch a baseball game, and Fenway Park and some of the old stadiums. But you've got to remember the geography lesson of where the ballparks are built. And here in the Southwest in Houston during the summer, it's unbearable to play outdoors with the mosquitoes and the heat. And I'll tell you what, this is definitely the 8th wonder of the world. This has been a beautiful, a marvelous place for Houstonians and all Texans, all people in this region to visit. Great ballpark to go to.
Well, the Astros are certainly glad to be back in it, hoping to make this a marvelous homestand. Here's Glenn Davis hitting .260. He's tied for second in the league in long balls. He's hit 27 homers. He's driven in 70, and that's the 5th best RBI figure. Foul ball against Leary, strike 1. Davis has one of his home runs against the right-hander who's pitching to him right now. He's 2 for 8 against him. You know, a fellow on that talk show we're referring to, Bill, said he had recently made a visit to Fenway Park, and he said he thought it was a nice historic ballpark, enjoyed the scenery, but he said it was uncomfortable watching a game.
He ought to try to watch a basketball game in the Boston Garden.
Ooh, no air conditioning.
Yeah.
Fastball got away from Leary. 1 ball and 1 strike to Glenn Davis. 4th 4th in the league in total bases. Glenn has 210. He's 7th in slugging. Tied for 4th in extra base hits. Well, he's at the number 5 spot right now.
He's got to catch the bull, right? Bob Watson.
Now, Jose Cruz is 1 ahead of him in 4th, and Bob Watson is 2 ahead of him in 3rd on the all-time Astros home run list. That'd be nice for him to make both those milestones during this homestand. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. Glenn's hitting .294 in his last 14 games. No score last of the 2nd. Larry didn't get a lot of run support when he was with the Dodgers earlier this year. They scored only 11 runs in his 6 losses. Third baseman Quiñones fires on the run and gets Davis 1 out.
That was a fine play by Quiñones.
Well, the Reds are filling in, and some of their players aren't at the positions they've played the most in their careers. Chris Sabo's out, of course. Quiñones has played a lot of short and second. There you see the coaches. Matt Galante on the left, Bill Garner on the right.
Telling you what, Galante's a running back now.
Yeah.
Look at that good-looking, handsome fellow.
That's right.
Coaching third base.
He's lost a few pounds, hasn't he?
He looks great.
Here's Ken Caminetti hitting .260, 7 homers, 51 runs batted in.
What diet is he on?
He's on a diet of base hits lately. He had a fine road trip. Caminetti, in fact, led all the Astros on the trip with 11 hits in 33 at-bats when they weren't getting much offense along the way.
Kidding about that diet, but Ken did lose, what, close to 20 pounds in the offseason, and I think that's a big reason for him having such a successful year. Boy, look at that, those stats against Larry, huh?
He's now tied for 6th in the league in doubles. He has 25, hitting .359 for his last 20 games. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Caminetti. The Reds, of course, have lost so many players it's hard to mention them all on this broadcast. Danny Jackson down for the count. Caminetti is going to be thrown out at first on the strikeout.
Boy, I thought I heard a foul tip.
Well, Jerry Davis indicated with the safe side, and Jeff Reed threw him out on strikeout number 1 for Leary.
I was watching Reed, and everybody kind of stopped. Now you see the signal by Davis saying, hey, that's it, strikeout.
Billy Doran's batting down in the lineup for the first time since April, taking a strike. He has 8 homers, 56 runs batted in, but his average has been on the wane for quite some time, down to .235. 2 hits in his last 32 trips to the plate, rather. 1 ball and 1 strike. Billy's been down on himself a little bit lately in his comments in the media, but once that game starts, you know, he's confident about the fact that he wants to start going on a tear the other way. 1-2 the count, so by moving him down to 6th and inserting Bass into the familiar number 3 spot formerly occupied by Doran, Art House trying to get his offense in gear. Take a little pressure off Billy, perhaps, to bat him down in the order. First time he's batted this low since the 22nd of April. He's caught looking, though, and Leary goes through the 2nd in 1-2-3 fashion with a couple of strikeouts along the way. He has faced only 6, and the double play ball helped him in the first. No score through 2.
Well, as if that fellow right there hasn't had enough problems off the field, he certainly has had his share on the field, and it all started right around the 1st of July. Look at the broken red legs. Sabo, Larkin, Diaz, Rio, O'Neill, Danny Jackson. The list goes on, and in the month of July, the Reds went 7-19, and that just about put them out of the race.
That was their worst month in a few years since Pete Rose took over as manager, certainly. Well, Sabo tried to come back. He was on a rehab assignment at Nashville, but he wasn't able to run, so they've taken him off the rehab list, and he's going back to Cincinnati for more therapy. Mariano Duncan, who was taken over for Larkin, Tried to bunt his way on after hitting the ball to the warning track in center. There's ball one. Yes, the Reds have been hit so hard you'd have to say they have had the toughest fate of anybody in the league with injuries. 2 balls and no strikes. You really couldn't expect any team in the National League to survive all the injuries the Reds have had.
I have to start questioning, though, their training methods after a while, because they've had these problems the last few seasons. They have more players on the DL than anybody, usually on a continuous basis.
They're going through that self-analysis now with their programs. Bass moves over toward the corner and right. 1 out. The Reds had a couple of hits in the second, but Tim Leary was retired. The Astros are still waiting for their first base hit as Luis Quiñones comes up for the second time. He was caught looking by Roden for one of his 3 strikeouts. The Cubs beat the Phillies today 9-2. Ryne Sandberg hit another homer. 5 straight games in which Sandberg has homered. There's a strike. Cubs broadcaster said on the game today, Bill, that Sandberg is the only Cub other than Hack Wilson to homer in 5 consecutive games. It's amazing.
Boy.
Billy Doran gets Quiñones 2 outs.
Tell you, Bill, what else is amazing? In the last 2 games, those 2 clubs have scored 40 runs.
Hammer and tong time at Wrigley Field. Well, you remember these folks, don't you? Dave Bristol, who's managed in the big leagues at several stops at third, and Lee May, the former Astro, at first.
I'll tell you another favorite, too, here in Houston, Tommy Helms. He's in that dugout with Pete Rose right now, but he played here in Houston. Very popular player in the 70s.
Eric Davis sends one deep into center, and this is easily gone for a home run. Number 24 of the year, and Davis made it a no-doubter. 1-0 Reds as Eric Davis has his 6th home run in his last 14 games. And in fact, that's his 5th in his last 8 games for Eric Davis.
Good gracious, I hope this ball didn't get in the same orbit as the spaceship. Look at the swing. This ball was high and far. In fact, Young only took about 3 steps.
Next pitch to Ken Griffey is ball 1. Griffey struck out in the first. Remember, Davis a couple of years ago had all kinds of problems playing in the Dome. Had a good series here earlier this year, though, and no problem on that long home run.
I think that home run probably made a bleep on the satellite.
That might have been the longest one in this ballpark this year. 1 run on the Davis homer. Nobody left in the middle of the third. It's 1-0 Cincinnati. Nothing on Eric Davis's towering shot to center, and the crowd is a little quiet from that Davis long ball, making it 1-0 Reds as Billy Hatcher looks at a strike leading off the home third. Hatcher is hitting .227. He has 3 homers. He's driven in 44. There he throws strike 2, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. Well, you might wonder why Billy Hatcher, not Terry Poole. Hatcher's had good success against Leary this year. 3 hits, 10 at-bats, and 3 runs batted in. Benzinger flips, and Leary registers the putout. 1 out. Reds first baseman, a converted outfielder, made a nice play for the first out in the home third.
He really has improved at first base. He's been shaky over there trying to learn that position the last couple of seasons, but that was a dandy play there.
Gerald Young's the hitter now, so Benzinger has made that play to get out number 1. Quiñones is in tight at third. He just removed a pebble from the carpet as Young bats and looks at ball 1. Harold's hitting .225. He's driven in 27. Needs only 5 more walks for a career high in a single season. He has 62. And there's one smacked right past Leary into center field. First base hit for the Astros. Leary tried the behind the back move with his glove, but the ball was by him in a flash.
Again, it reminds you of why it's so dangerous for the pitcher out there. He's just not very far away from home plate. And when those balls come back through the middle, they're just blurs.
Rick Rhoden has 2 hits and 20 at-bats. Young with 33 steals takes his lead. He's 3rd in the league in stolen bases. Rhoden has a double and a single in his 2 base hits, hitting 100, but career a .235 hitter, 9 homers, 75 runs batted in, 3 Silver Slugger awards in his career.
That play by Benzinger now turns out to be even bigger.
Yes, it does. Leary makes the throw. Jeff Reed was saying in the series in Cincinnati, yes, they've been running against us, and he fully expects us. So we'll see what happens with Young. Montreal has the lead over Pittsburgh 2-0 in the 5th.
Rhoden's a good hitter. You might want to hit and run with him. He handles the bat well. Stay out of the double play, because if he hits anything on the ground, he can't get down to first base very well. He's a double play threat.
The Reds have already turned 1 twin killing back in the 1st. 1 ball and no strikes. It's St. Louis 2, New York nothing. Last of the 4th inning. First game of a twin bill in San Diego finds the Braves on top of the Padres 2-1 in the 3rd. Andy Benes, the young #1 draft choice in the nation last year by the Padres, was to have started that game. Los Angeles and San Francisco play later. Valenzuela versus Nepper. Boston won the first of a doubleheader from Baltimore 6-4. Cleveland won the first of 2 from Milwaukee 5-0. Milwaukee's leading the second game in the 3rd inning 4-2. Yankees 4, Minnesota nothing in the 3rd. Those are the only scores we have, and we've been having some ticker problems tonight. Base hit. The shortstop Duncan was heading to second base, so Young was able to move him to the bag, and Rhoden hit it behind him. First and 3rd and 1 out.
Well, again, this is a super display of the hit and run. This is what a manager loves to do. Watch the break by Young. This forces Mariano Duncan to cover second. And that gets the hit and run going. Young goes all the way to 3rd.
You were looking for that, Bill Worrell.
Yeah, I just had a feeling to stay out of the double play, and because Rhoden can usually get his bat on the ball, that Art might have that in the works.
So the jacket is on for Rhoden. He has his 3rd hit of the year, and now it's Craig Biggio. Biggio walked on 4 pitches, leading off the home first. 1-0 Reds on Davis's towering home run. Leary got him to chase. That's strike 1.
Good curveball. Leary has an excellent breaking pitch tonight. You've got to be patient.
Leary and Mariano Duncan traded for Cal Daniels and Lenny Harris on the 18th of July. He's ahead of the count 0-2 on Biggio.
Biggio, when he first started, replaced Alan Ashby. He had a terrific amount of problems with the breaking pitch. But then after a couple of weeks, he started going to the opposite field with it. Was able to get his stroke, and at least if he didn't get a base hit, he was able to foul a few off so that he could look at the fastball. This time, however, he was trying to pull the ball. Let's see if he'll try to go the opposite way. They're going outside against him.
And he laid off it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Astros have grounded into fewer double plays than any team in the majors, but Ramirez bounced into 1 in the 1st inning. That was the 56th of the year. Biggio tries to avoid that as he prepares to see the 1-2. And just got a little piece of it.
Well, that's what I talked about a moment ago. The fact that even if you can't handle the pitch, the ability to foul it off so that you'll see another. And a lot of times, even though he's thrown 3 good curveballs, he may make a mistake on the next one, or you could see the fastball. So the ability to just keep yourself alive at the plate is so important.
Benzinger won't get a chance. Still a 1-2 count on Biggio.
Now, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Leary, since he threw him a fastball on that pitch, to come back with the curveball.
You think he set him up for another?
I think he set him up for the curve, yeah.
Leary, you may recall, started that 22-inning game for the Dodgers. He lasted 5 2/3 in that one.
Okay, watch where Reed sets up. Outside.
There was a curveball, all right. And it's still a 1-2 count.
So now the Biggio, in turn, has put pressure on Leary. Leary got him to go for 2 curves. Then by fouling off the next 2, he has forced Leary maybe to think about throwing another pitch. So this is what I say about the improvement of Biggio and why he's now the leadoff hitter, is his ability to at least foul off a tough curveball. Now let's see how the mind game is going.
Yeah, what a pitch he came up with for the strikeout. That's his 3rd strikeout. It's out number 2, and it's up to Rafael Ramirez.
Good smart pitch by Leary, too. This curveball was not in the strike zone. He said, man, if you foul this one off, you're some kind of hitter. Look at the bottom fall out of that.
Ramirez hit the bouncer to shortstop, and Duncan got it to Oster, who turned 2 in the 1st inning.
Here's the man you want up there in this situation.
He looks at a strike, 0-1. Kevin Bass would be next if Ramirez can keep the inning going. Leary in that 22-inning affair had a 4-1 lead in the 6th inning with 2 outs, and then he walked a couple, and the game wound up going the Astros' way hours and hours later. The pop-up, Jeff Reed. Up, it's back about 5 rows. So Ramirez has an 0-2 count now. This time last year, Leary and the Dodgers were making their stretch run on the way to their World Series championship. He worked in Game 3 of the series in relief of John Tudor, who had to leave with an injury.
Ramirez has been turning on the ball, at least on this road trip, hit some long balls. Let's see if they'll try to jam him.
He got that one out of play. It's still an 0-2 count.
I think Reed was set up for a pitch on the inside. Leary got it outside, and you saw that Ramirez was, and that's what he's doing. He's going out there, he's saying, now look, you got to go to my target. Now watch where he sets up. He sets up inside, see? The pitch is to the outside, and that's not where they wanted to go. That's to the strength of Ramirez with 2 strikes. So Reed made a little visit to the mound.
1-0 Reds, last of the 3rd. Runners at 1st and 3rd, and 2 outs with the 0-2 count on Ramirez. And another fine pitch by Leary. Gets a strikeout to get him out of trouble. That's his 4th strikeout. Milo Hamilton will join Bill in a moment. No runs for the Astros. 2 hits. They strand 2. And through 3, it's 1-0 Reds on the Eric Davis home run.
Well, Rick Rhoden watched the last inning as Eric Davis put one out of here, about as long a home run as we've had hit in this building this year. Now he's trying to hold the Reds right there. As it's 1-0 as we enter the top of the 4th inning. Leading it off will be Rooms. And to call the action is Milo Hamilton.
Thank you, Bill Worrell. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you were gone a long time.
You were able to follow us, though, I understand.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you, Milo, went down to Florida, and all the games were on the Sunshine Network. The Astros have a large following in the state of Florida now because so many games are shown on the Sunshine Network in that part of the country. And including tonight's game, and we'd like to welcome all of our fans in Florida, especially around the Stewart area, West Palm Beach.
1-2 now to Rooms, who bounced out to Davis at first in the second inning. On deck hitter is Benzinger, then it'll be Reed. Astros lost a chance to get the run back, but Leary had as good a stuff in that inning as I've seen him have this year. And Roden rings up Rooms. Service.
Had a little dip on this one. Like he turned it over. That's not the curveball. He may have turned that ball over. Had a little sinking effect to it. Nice pitch.
4 strikeouts for Roden here. Benzinger struck out swinging in the second inning. Roden's trailing in this game 1-0, but I think as far as using all of his pitches and stuff, this is his best that we've seen.
Yeah, the only mistake, of course, he made came to Davis. Got the ball up in the strike zone.
He had actually done it the first time Davis was up in the first inning, but got away and only surrendered a single. Line drive hit left center. Young's got to get over to keep it from going through. He does. Benzinger is on with a 1-out single in the Cincinnati 4.
Is always going to give up about a hit per inning pitch because he's always around the plate, likes to throw strikes, and if you're a good hitter, you're going to be looking for something around the plate, and the Reds are certainly a good hitting baseball team right now. They've been scoring a lot of runs in the last several weeks.
The Astros can vouch for that. Here's Reed. Here's a guy that's been hitting. And he hits line drives, this guy. He's just a pretty good looking hitter right now. Jeff Reed, their catcher. Singled in the second inning, a line drive over Doran into right center. He's up here now with Benzinger at first, 1 out. Cincinnati 1-5-0, Houston 0-2-0. Foul back over here to the left side. Reed the batter, Oster on deck. Tomorrow afternoon, we would invite you to join us to be right up with the Astros and Astros Radio. Then HSE comes right back on Sunday. No balls, 1 strike. Reed gets tired of waiting. He's going to make Roden wait a bit. Boy, good crowd to walk in the ball club home, Bill.
Telling you what, I said about 25,000. There'll be more than that.
A ball.
Milo, we'd like to say hi to Mary Darbone of Nederland, Texas. Her friends are at the game tonight, and they wanted to say hi to Mary. Sorry you couldn't make it to the game.
Maybe next time.
That's right. She can catch it on HSE.
A ball and a strike. Runner going. And that will drop in right center. Pass backing up on Young. They will have runners at second and third. Running hit was on with Benzinger on the move, and Reed just dumped one in no man's land out into shallow right center. It's a double. They've got runners at second and third with only 1 out.
Again, this shows you the respect that they have for Gerald Young. The ball is hit, and Benzinger has to hold up because of the speed of Young. He's not sure he can keep running. He should have scored, and normally would in that situation. But with just 1 out, he had to hold up in case Young ran it down.
They're going to walk Oster. Leary is due up next. And Leary has been a good good hitting pitcher over the years. This will load it up with one out. Single, double, intentional walk. Art Howe looking on, knowing that the pitcher is next. Pete Rose, whose club has been playing better the last couple of weeks. Now the bases are loaded as Oster trots down. Biggio out to give the veteran right-hander Roden a little slap on the back, saying, all right, the pitcher's here, let's go get him. It took a good play in the second inning by Caminetti way back of the bag, and a scoop out of the dirt by Davis to retire Leary in the second inning. The situation dictated the walk, but this guy is not an All-American out. Ball one.
But Oster's such a good hitter from the left side, a much better hitter. You'd rather take your chances with this guy.
Benzinger led after one out when Room struck out, got a base hit. Reed followed with a pop fly double on a hit and run. They walk Oster intentionally. Now Roden working on his mound opponent, Tim Leary. And there is a line drive hit into left center field. One run will score, and they'll hold the other runner at third. Good job by Hatcher going over to keep that ball from going any deeper or getting through the gap. And Leary gets the base hit to make it 2-0.
Again, location is so important, and Roden just didn't have the good location. Watch where this pitch is. See, you got your catcher set up outside. The ball comes in.
They'll wait and take the warm-up jacket down to Leary. So Leary delivers, doubles his lead 2-0. Now you got to look at the top of the order with the bases still loaded.
Boy, when you take, and I think we've seen it in the last couple of weeks, especially when you take Mike Scott out of your lineup or your rotation, you see some glaring weaknesses in the Astros pitching staff. And Portugal had a super outing in San Diego, and that was wasted. Roden's had some pretty good outings. Clancy got a win, but with Scotty not in that rotation, that bullpen has been beleaguered.
And now Darwin's going to go to work in the bullpen.
And Moss will make a visit. Now Darwin can get warm as fast as any reliever the Astros have, and so Moss wants to give him a chance to throw about 10 pitches.
Bases are loaded with Reed at third, Oster second, Leary first. A run in. They now have 7 hits off Roden in 3 1/3 innings here. He started off, well, he just pitched to Rooms as good as you can pitch to a guy, and Rooms a pretty good young hitter. Ed Napoleon talking with Art Howe about where they want to place somebody here once Roden starts to work to Duncan.
Of course, you're not going to get any sympathy from the San Francisco Giants or from the Cincinnati Reds when you talk about injuries and how your pitching staff has been down, because Pete Rose knows about injuries. So do the Giants. Boy, did they get a super performance out of Dravecky.
All right, ready to go. Duncan with a breaking ball away, and it's 1-0. Duncan put a charge in one in the first inning to lead off the game. Ball just kept carrying. Young had to race back to the center field warning track to get it. Third inning, he flied out to Bass down toward the right field corner. The 1-0. 1-1 to Mariano Duncan. The on-deck hitter is Quinones. So Roden run into a rocky fourth here. Duncan with a ball and a strike, and a teammate on every base with only one away. 1-2.
Been able to run that fastball down very effectively on Duncan. When he gets it down, it seems to have good movement on it tonight. His problem is he's gotten it up.
As you see, a red leg on every base. A run is in, 2-0 Cincy. Roden wanting something extra on Duncan. and fouls it off, and it's still 1-2. Duncan's been a much better hitter since he got traded with the Dodgers to the Reds. Hitting over 300 for the last 3 weeks. Roden pitching to stay in this game because Darwin is not tossing in the bullpen. He is heating up. Oh, Roden wanted that call. He thought he'd frozen him with an off-speed breaking pitch. Did not get the call. Let's take a look and see where it is.
Well, I think it hung inside. The batter now, he's going to check Davis. It didn't quite get there. Good frame job by Biggio trying to get the call.
Duncan says, I'm lucky to still be up here. Now you got to go right after him. Fouled off. You imagine how much chalk our ground crew could save when the Reds come to town if they didn't put down the coaching boxes?
Boy, Bristol's got a nice lead at third, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Now he gets back reasonably close. He'll still come back. Now here he comes. Well, so much for the lines.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 1 out. Beautiful pitch. Pulled a string and gets his 5th strikeout of the night.
Well, you had the key to that when you said pull the string. Changing the speed on this pitch was so important. Get him way out in front.
You know, there was a little risk there with a pitch that he didn't get the call on, then come back with it.
But it was a different location this time, and that helped him.
Here's Quinones 0 for 2. Bases still loaded. Down and away and didn't miss by much. Quinones has struck out and bounced out tonight. This guy's only hitting .219. There's the big guy. You don't want him to bat in this inning. Ball 2.
I think it's pretty safe to say that if Roden loses Quinones, it's going to be Darwin to face Davis.
Quinones you can't nonchalant either because at .219 batting average, 1/4 of his hits this year have been homers.
Here's a 2-0 pitch.
And looks like he'll get out of it with only 1 run scoring. Hatcher is there. Side retired. So the veteran right-hander Roden bent a little, but he didn't break. 1 run on 3 hits and a walk, and they leave 3. Might look back on that as a big pitching job. HSE 2-0 from the Dome.
Well, it's been over 2 months since Kevin Bass has been able to be in the lineup for the Astros. Just finished a rehab assignment in Tucson and talked about it with Enos Cabell.
I swing the bat pretty good. You know, just about every ball I hit hard. And, you know, my leg was able to stand up to the strain and stress of, you know, going out there running the bases and things like that. So Bill Wood gave me the call, and I, you know, accepted.
I'd have been shocked if he hadn't. He's ready to come back and play.
Well, he's been up once tonight. He bounced out to third. Leary ready to work in the 4th with a 2-0 lead. You got Bass and Davis and Caminiti. Pretty good ratio there.
Boy, I'll say. Has a super breaking ball tonight and throwing it for strikes.
Well, you got the 3, 4, 5 hitters. You'd like to put a dent in it here. Get on the board against Leary. That's a strike. You might find this hard to believe, but that gives Bass a 4-game hitting streak.
Well, it's been a long time coming. Here's the player that could put a spark in this Astros club. You just keep your fingers crossed that he can stay healthy, but the Astros have done so well without him. Now it's like acquiring a new player to go down the stretch, like making a trade, but not giving anything up.
Well, remember, you're getting back a player who's been a regular the last 4 years. So you put him right in the lineup when he comes back. He is on, and here is Glenn Davis. A strike. Gary Davis has given that inside corner to Leary. Caminetti will be next. Bass on. Nobody out. Leary was in trouble in the third, but rose to the occasion, striking out Vigio Ramirez. Good smother with that one by Jeff Reed. All the guys on the broadcast crew here want to say hello and get well to James Williams, Houston police officer who worked the HSA receiving dock for all the baseball games up until about 3 months ago. So James Williams, come on, get back out here. We missed you.
Missed that smiling face.
Hit him on the fist and popped him up. Duncan waiting. One down. Davis over 2. He's bounced out and popped up. And it'll bring up Ken Caminetti. Caminetti struck out in the second inning. Hey, Bill, do you think you'll get to go to your 73rd high school class reunion?
Good gracious. I wonder how many people would be there.
There's a drive back into right field, but the right fielder Rooms will go back to the edge of the track and haul it in. Oh, Caminetti just missed tying this baby.
He got a good piece of that one. In fact, he hit it so hard it started to curve downward.
Well, Susie Alsmeyer, who's from Conway, Arkansas, is at her 73rd high school reunion tonight in China, Texas.
I'll be. That's in the Golden Triangle area.
Her grandson works at HSE.
Mark Alsmeyer.
Yeah, see, we hear about those folks.
China, Texas. If you're ever up around Beaumont, Port Arthur way, stop through China.
Fouled off by Doran. Doran looked at strike 3 called in the second inning. They dropped him down to the 6th spot, hoping to maybe take a little pressure off, relax him a little, and get that bat going. Bass led off the inning with a single. He's at first with 2 away. Leary steps away, and Bass goes back to the bag. Reds got a run in the third on a homer by Eric Davis. In the fourth, Leary drove in a run for himself. That ball took off, overthrew it a bit, and it's 1-1.
You know, under normal circumstances, maybe somewhere down the line this season, you'd be stealing a base with Bass or trying to hit and run. Right now, you're a bit cautious because he's just coming back.
A ball and a strike. A little looping pop to the shortstop. Doran's out. So are the Astros. Leadoff single for Bass. Couldn't put anything around it. He's left, and we played 4. On HSE from the Dome in the opening game of a weekend set of 3. The Reds are leading 2-0. Eric Davis has singled and homered. Well, we got a new AD here who looks like he needs work.
Oh, I know it. He needs a new golf swing. I know that. Anytime Cincinnati comes to town, Ed Biles is always here.
Why is that?
Well, he got his start in Cincinnati. One of the great coaches in Cincinnati football history. He told me to say that.
Well, I'm just looking at that note he just gave you. You read that just like he put that down. Shot to third. Caminetti will throw out Eric Davis. One away in the 5th inning. Well, we're a couple of days late, but we were on the road when Hattie Barker celebrated her 82nd birthday on the 9th. Watches HSE all the time. Hey, look at this.
All right, Hattie. Right now, I think Hattie would like a few base hits, a couple of runs for a birthday present.
1 ball, no strikes to Griffey. He's 0 for 2. Got some corner, and it's 1-1. Roden has walked 1. That was intentional. Struck out 5, given up 7 hits, and is trailing 2-0. Griffey struck out in the 1st, flied to left field in the 3rd. 2 balls and a strike. Jimmy Deshaies takes another shot at number 11 tomorrow. That's been if he could just get that baby, he'd probably go on and win 3 or 4 in a row. But 11 has been staying away from his count. 3 balls and a strike to Ken Griffey. He's been hitting about .380 the last 2 weeks. He never dreamed he'd be playing this much this year for the Reds. Center field, Young back. He'll be under it. 2 down.
Well, if you ask somebody before the start of the season who would probably be on the DL the longest, Griffey Sr. or Griffey Jr., who would have picked Jr.? This guy's still rolling along.
Rolando Rooms has bounced to first and struck out swinging. I got some charge in his bat, too. Strike 1 count to him with Benzinger due up next. Astros had 1 chance to get on the board, but Leary was tough. He trotted out a nasty split finger in that inning, didn't he?
Got a good one tonight. Good breaking pitch.
No balls and 2 strikes to Rooms. For a young hitter, showed some patience there, didn't he?
Yes, he did, but Roden is pitching very well in this inning. He's at super location on all of his pitches. A good purpose.
A ball and 2 strikes to Rooms. That'll do it in a 1-2-3 inning and strikeout number 6. Twice in a row that he's gotten Rooms. Middle of the 5th inning, halfway through it on HSE. And the Reds 2-0.
Hey, there's some great history they could talk about there of baseball.
Billy Hatcher 0 for 1 tonight. Bounced to the first baseman Benzinger to start the 3rd. Right after that out, Young and Roden got back-to-back singles. Looked like they were in business at 1st and 3rd, but then Leary struck out Biggio, struck out Ramirez. Ball 1 to Hatcher. Astros have been out hit 7-3, outscored 2-0. Nobody's made an error. HSE from the Dome. Milo Hamilton and Bill Worrell with the Mike Anastasio HSE crew. Broken bat, look out in that blue, man. The barrel of that bat becomes a weapon, brother.
Somebody's checking heads. He's saying, has everybody still got everything? This is another reason why you got to pay attention. Look at him look over and check where the bat is before he throws to first.
So it's 3rd to 1st to take care of Hatcher, and see what happens when that baby breaks. Like a blade flying off a helicopter, boy. Man, oh man. That's a strike. And you're right about it. When you come to a baseball game, you sit down closer by those dugouts.
You don't have that screen in front of you.
You got to watch the game. 1 ball, 1 strike to Young. He had a base hit in the 3rd inning. Took it right back through the middle. Center field, playable by Davis. 2 down. Better bring up Roden. He had a base hit in the 3rd. Leary not pitching tonight like a 7-9 pitcher.
He's had some good starts for Cincinnati. But he's always had good stuff against Houston. It's a lot of good off-speed stuff, and that normally gives the Astros a lot of problems.
Fouled off by Roden.
Just had the game under control the whole way tonight. He's been ahead on the count. He's been throwing strikes.
Roden did a good job for himself to keep them from breaking it loose. 2-0 Reds. 5th inning. Foul ball. Go on through with the play, though. When you're a third baseman, you're not looking around for signals.
Now, if you look over your shoulder to see what the call is, the play's over. Yeah, I think Roden's pitched well enough tonight. The Astros have to start scoring some runs. They've had a lot of runs scored against them on this last road trip, and the pitching staff has been a problem, but they haven't been able to put pressure on the other team either.
0-2 to Roden. 1-2. Two more games in this series with the Reds. Monday's off. The Pirates come in for 3. Next weekend, the Cubs will be in the Dome. Stays alive by fouling it off. A lot of the folks tonight get the traveling mugs. Tomorrow, the youngsters, 14 and under. What is it? First 15,000? Wristwatch day. Eddie's got his mug. A base hit to the right side by Roden. He's 2 for 2.
Unfortunately for Eddie, he's had that mug for about 50 years.
Only 50?
Hey, let's congratulate Mrs. Biles, Jackie Biles. She graduated today from college.
Well, you watched that hit go through. Tell us about it.
Well, she went back to school last year to get her college degree and graduated today. So congratulations, Jackie.
And what will she do with that degree?
Support Ed, I guess.
I just getting ready to say she probably figures the way things been going. Better be another breadwinner.
He's got some tough golf games out there at Quail Valley, you know.
Here's Biggio 0 for 1. He walked the first time up, struck out the last time. Ball 1. Well, that's really great. Boy, that takes some sticking to it to go back and do that.
It really does.
Of course, in her case, probably a good excuse to get out of the house. Bunt up the third base side. Got him on a very, very close play at first base. Quinones throws out Biggio. Nip and tuck. No runs and a hit, no errors and a man left. We have played through 5 on HSC, and it's still 2-0 Cincy. Good way to get them. And with the crowds we've been having, last homestand and again tonight, it's a good idea to have that ticket in your hand when you leave home and know right where you're going to be.
That race stays tighter. The tickets get harder to come by. And there's a good look at this Friday night crowd. And I was estimating 25 to 30. I think we may have over 30,000 here tonight.
As we go to the 6th inning, Benzinger, a strikeout and a single, and a run scored. So Roden We'll look at Benzinger, Reed, and Oster in the 6th. So Rodin on the short end of a 2-0 game gets the breaking ball over to Todd Benzinger. A ball and a strike.
Well, Chicago pounded out 9 runs today. Ryne Sandberg is red hot. Got another home run today. Montreal beats Pittsburgh to keep pace. That race is really developing over there in the East. And St. Louis shutting out the Mets tonight. So the Cardinals trying to stay in it. Game 1 of the doubleheader. And Atlanta 2 up on San Diego. The Padres really wanted to go into Atlanta and try to sweep 4. Getting right back into the race. No, that's in San Diego. That's right, because they have to switch that field over for the football game, don't they, Sunday? They're playing a doubleheader.
Is it going to come down? How about that? How many times you slap at a ball and it goes up and comes right back down for you?
You know, the hardest thing about making this play is to have the patience to wait for the ball to come down, not reach up and bobble it. Now watch him. He just waits, gets sure he's got the ball before he makes the throw.
Usually you hit that ball like that, you're going to carom it somewhere or slow it down so the shortstop can't make the ball or whatever. Came right back down for him. Nice play by Rodin for himself. Gets Benzinger. Here's Reed with a single and a double. We got to change the book on this guy. Maybe they just did. Dorn will throw him out. 2 down.
Well, Rodin has really settled down since he had that shaky 4th inning. Pitched very effectively.
Number 16, second baseman, Juan Oster.
Look at this quick release. Doran not letting the slump bother his fielding. But he's also ready to make toothpicks out of a bat handle.
I know it's driving him crazy.
Oster with a single and an intentional walk. 2 balls and no strikes to Oster. Second baseman batting 8th in the order. Nobody on in front of him. 2 away. Reds batting in the 6th and leading 2-0. Looked like a pretty good pitch.
Yeah, Rodin's upset with himself. You want to come after Oster. It ensures you of almost getting off to a good start the next inning, leading off with a pitcher, and he hasn't been able to get it close.
3-0. Got a call this time, and it's 3-1. Hey, that's the formula. 1, 2, 3. He's retired the last 8 in a row. Butch in the middle of the 6th on home sports entertainment from the Astrodome. Reds leading the Astros 2-0. Ramirez 0 for 2. Bounced into a double play in the opening inning. Struck out in the 3rd. Bass on deck, and it'll be Davis. The Reds are leading 2-0. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. The hits belong, the 4 of them. 2 to Rodin, 1 to Young, and 1 to Bass. And 1 to Rafi. Bass on deck right side.
Of course, you don't have to tell Leary what a big inning this is, because he's got now Ramirez, Bass, and Davis. You're going into the heart of that Astros lineup. He can make easy work of it here. He's in good shape. No balls and 2 strikes. Hey, the curveball complimented the split finger, and he's throwing them for strikes. The Astros are having trouble getting a beat on it.
Fouled it back by Kevin Bass on the right side. It's still 0-2. Ramirez has had trouble with the Red staff this year. He's been limited to 6 hits and 37 at-bats against them. Leary's been around. He really didn't settle into a big league pitching plan until he got to the Dodgers. Then after the great year last year where he collected some hardware, got off to a slow start with him this year. In fact, they put him in the bullpen a while, and then he gets traded. Come over and done a good job for the Reds. Broken bat bouncer, shortstop, no play. Let's see if we can take advantage of that. It'll be an infield hit. Sometimes you get a break in a ball like that, especially with the heart of the order coming up. Build something around it.
Well, you're right about getting a break. If he pulls this a little bit more, it's a chance for Quinones to make the play. But it's just outside of his reach, which means Duncan, who's playing back awfully deep, has an almost impossible play to make. That gives you a good look from the third baseman's point of view. He just couldn't get over there.
So an infield hit for Rafi. Here is Bass. He's 1 for 2. Had a base hit to lead off the 4th inning, but Davis, Caminetti, and Doran couldn't move him. You see he's got that right shin heavily guarded. He doesn't want to hit a ball off of that again, ever. Oster will get the head man only. Bass beats the Rapp at first. Didn't seem to bother him running down the line, did it?
No, it didn't. Obviously, he's feeling a lot better. He wanted to pull this ball. There's a big hole on the right side, and he almost did. You know, in talking to Kevin, taking batting practice, he says, in a way, I don't even worry about hitting that knee. I worry more about keeping my shoulder in on the swing so that I won't foul it off and hit my knee. Might make me a better hitter.
Here is Glenn Davis. He's bounced out and he's popped up. Bass first, 1 out.
Looked like he almost pulled something in his back. He swung so hard.
You know, that bruised instep of Davis has hung around aggravatingly long also. He still says he can only play on it about 85%. Doesn't seem to bother him when he hits a long ball, but other parts of his game it does, and that's strike 2.
Astros look like a hockey club, don't they? All of those guards, Galante giving the signal. Davis has been swinging at a lot of bad pitches here tonight. Look at that contraption.
One ball and 2 strikes to Glenn Davis. Caminetti due up next. Astros batting in the 6th inning. They haven't been able to get off the Schneider here against Leary, and Leary's in front 2-0. Home run Eric Davis, and Leary drove in the other run himself. A ball and 2 strikes. And Bass will go back as Leary steps away. He's running. Strikeout on Davis. Stolen base, Bass.
Well, Reed had trouble getting the ball out of the glove.
Caminetti with a runner at second base. Caminetti hit the ball hard in the 4th inning, sent the right fielder to the warning track. Right at Oster. Second to first. Side retired. And another leadoff single does not lead to anything as far as scoring for the Astros. Leary's been tough when he's needed it here tonight. One man is left. Lionel Hamilton moving away from the HSE booth. Have a nice day off, Bill Worrell. I'll see you Sunday.
You bet.
Go.
Leary leads it off to start the 7th inning for the Cincinnati Reds. Leary's got a shutout, cruising along, leading it 2-0. Rick Rhoden, however, has pitched very well since the 4th inning, and here to call final few innings, Bill Brown.
Thanks, Bill. Rhoden starts with a strike against Leary. Rick has retired 8 in a row since Leary's base hit, driving in the Reds' second run. A run which seems awfully big at the moment. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. You'd think that Leary would have been a little distressed with the trade after going to high school in Santa Monica and UCLA, having to move away from the Los Angeles area. He seems to be adjusting very well, though. He bunts and it goes foul.
Tell you what, Bill, you very well know, having lived there in Cincinnati, but that's a hotbed for baseball, for all athletics for that matter. You right there in the Ohio area where football also in season is the king, with Ohio State and Notre Dame and the Big Ten, and then of course with baseball, the fantastic crowds they have all year. They really support the Reds very well in that city.
2 balls and 2 strikes. They do, and this year particularly, they seem to be turning a little bit more toward football than they normally do. They had very high hopes for the Reds.
Well, the Bengals didn't have a sloppy season exactly.
No, they're enthused about that, but it's just really a hotbed of sports fans. So Leary will like the reception he gets. Rick Rhoden has done well. He's keeping his club in the ball game, but trailing 2-0. He's gone 7 innings on a couple of occasions this year, but both times back in April. Caminetti. And Leary was hustling. That's 1 out. 9 in a row retired, as Rhoden has really pitched well tonight.
Caminetti made a nice play, and then he hesitated for a second, and this ball just takes off. Look at that gun he's got.
Yeah, he can wait with that arm strength.
Yeah, maybe he didn't warm up sufficiently. That's why you take infield. That's why you take ground balls from the first baseman before you have to make that long throw.
Mariano Duncan's 0 for 3. Here's strike 1. Well, you know, we saw Santiago the other day. Benito looked as if his elbow might have been bothering him a little bit. He made a bad throw into center field yesterday. And it's that time of year when the players have made so many throws. The aches and pains are certainly there.
Well, the night before, though, he picked off a runner.
Yes, he did.
Oh, baby.
Watch out over there. No balls and 2 strikes.
Is that Benzinger?
Let's see. No.
Yeah, he hit the deck. Number 25. Yeah, there's Rolando Room. Watch Benzinger, though. He hits the deck, too. Get out of there.
Jeff Reed with the catching gear on. Took the dive.
They're saying, hey, hit it in the other dugout.
No balls and 2 strikes. We talk from time to time about a player turning on a pitch. Duncan really turned on that foul ball.
They're down behind the screen right now. Look behind Duncan.
Yep. Staying below that fence. Hatcher, as a base hit, bounces in front of him, keeps it to a single by Duncan. Mariano hit it well, this time fair, reaching with a 1-out base hit. That interrupts the string of 9 straight retired by Rhoden. Luis Quinones is 0 for 3. Well, the Cubs are well pleased with what Lloyd McClendon has done for them. But Quinones has stepped in nicely for the Reds, too. Quinones had 3 hits in that big explosion at Riverfront in the 18-2 Reds win last week.
It's funny how things like that happen in the glory days of the Big Red Machine. They were never able to do it.
Yeah, you'd expect that would have happened in the mid-70s when they had so many huge innings, but it did not.
Then with a patchwork lineup,
right,
you go out and get all kinds of runs.
Sometimes this sport is beyond comprehension. Runner going. Biggio makes the throw, but it's not in time.
Well, I'll tell you what, now Biggio came awfully close to throwing him out considering the pitch that was thrown to him. Watch what he has to do. Duncan gets a good break, and the ball bounces in. It's an off-speed pitch to start with. He's got to field it on a bounce, and he still almost gets the run.
Yeah, he made that a close play when it really shouldn't have been. He had to backhand it on the short hop. 1 ball and no strikes. The bunt goes foul. 1-1. Another run could be awfully big for Leary the way he's pitching with a 2-0 lead.
Dave Bristol.
Now reminding the runner at second, Duncan, of the count. And 1 out. Moving over quickly, gets there for the catch. That's a nice job of filling the gap for out number 2.
It really is, because Young was playing too deep. Couldn't come in, and it was slicing with a left-handed hitter up, slicing towards Hatcher. He got a good jump on the ball. This gives you more of an angle from where Young was.
Duncan stays at second on out number 2, bringing up the always dangerous Eric Davis. He hit a blast for home run number 24 in the 3rd after singling up the middle. Then in the 5th inning, he grounded out to 3rd. 2 for 3. And hits this one a long way, hooking, and it is a foul ball. Again, easily with home run distance, Eric Davis shows you that whip-like bat.
Man, I don't know what they are throwing him tonight, but they better change the strategy. You know, they've been giving him a constant diet of fastballs up in the strike zone, and I know that's not where Roden wants to pitch it. I'm sure it's not. Man, that thing got out of here so fast.
He has just terrific bat speed. That one moved inside. Ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, if you're going to come inside on this guy, you better come way in. Those quick wrists, he can really snap that bat. Tremendous head speed on that bat.
There's a different look, and it's 1-2 now. Davis hit 26 home runs last year. He needs only 2 to tie that total, with still a lot of room to go in this season. Davis had a 6 RBI game back in early June. Became the first Cincinnati player to hit for the cycle since Frank Robinson in 1959. So he has that explosiveness, no question on that. He steps out with the count 1-2.
You would think with that big leg kick that he has, he would be susceptible to a changeup, change of speeds.
Davis had a home run off Bob Knepper and another off Jim Deshaies in his first visit to the Dome back in April this year. His home run here today is 5th in the Dome in his career. Now the count is 3-2 on him.
Well, he's come with 2 fastballs, but this time not putting it over the part of the plate like he did the first couple of times to Davis, but he went for the outside corner trying to get the call strike. I don't know if I'd give in to him here. Let's see if he'll throw him a 3-2 curveball in this situation.
Has unloaded his second of the game, and it again leaves no doubt of his power. His 25th home run of the year, a 2-run shot, gives the Reds a 4-0 lead.
Well, the great ones have the ability to take over a game, and Eric Davis has certainly done it tonight. There's another Davis watching at first base for the Astros who also has that ability and did a couple of times in San Diego. But watch, again the curveball, but it was on the inside part of the plate and gave him plenty of time to watch.
Oh, did it ever. That ball stayed in orbit for a while. Ken Griffey takes a strike. He's 0 for 3. Did you notice the front foot of Davis on the replay as it was almost out of the batter's box on his stride? No balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah.
That's something, though, you very rarely see called, because first of all, the home plate umpire is concentrating on calling the pitch and doesn't watch that. It's the 3rd 2-homer game this year and the 11th time that Eric Davis in his career has hit 2 or more homers in a game. 11 times. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a score now 4-0. And 3 of the runs batted in have come from Davis, who now has 71. He has just passed Glenn Davis in the RBI rankings.
I think that at bat also proves something too, Bill, that when the great hitters are in a streak, a good streak, it doesn't make any difference what you throw them. You've almost got to make a perfect pitch. Now, Roden has made 3 or 4 bad mistakes tonight, and 2 of those mistakes have come against Davis.
There's strike 3 call. Griffey caught looking to end the top of the 7th inning. An inning in which the Reds got another explosive drive off the bat of Eric Davis. 2 runs, 2 hits. No errors, nobody left. Middle of the 7th, 4-0 Cincinnati. Four to nothing, and you've seen the power of Eric Davis in this game, who has 2 home runs. He's driven in 3 of the 4. So Tim Leary, who has the other RBI, has all that support, and he now has a new left fielder. Herman Winningham takes over in left for Ken Griffey. He's batting in the cleanup position now as the Reds try to improve their club defensively. Leary, who has allowed a couple of hits in the 3rd and then single hits in the 4th, 5th, and 6th, now has extra working room as he faces Billy Doran leading off the home 7th. Doran is 0 for 2. Juan Agasso's getting ready in the Astros bullpen. Billy Hatcher, Gerald Young set to follow Doran, and then the pitcher's spot would come up if the Astros can place a runner on. There's ball 1 to Doran. He was caught looking and then lined out to short.
It's one of the real mysteries of the season to me, Bill.
It is to him, too. Quinones is calling. 1 out. complete games. One of them came against the Reds in his first start of the year for the Dodgers. The other one came against the Astros. The 5-hitter, the 2-1 game he won. Hatcher's 0 for 2. Billy looks at the first one. That's ball 1. Two balls and no strikes. It's a 3-0 count with Young waiting. And a strike. Hatcher works the walk.
You know, Bill, I think the thing that's beginning to weigh heavily now on the Astros, with Doran having a good first part of the season and the second leading RBI man and sometimes the first leading RBI man on the team, you were able to get away with Hatcher and Young having so-so years. But now with Doran in a terrible slump, it's hard to carry Doran, Hatcher, and Young, all three having off years. That's been a real problem here lately.
Harry Spillman's in the on-deck circle with Rodon Due up next as Gerald Young bats. He's 1 for 2. Looks at a strike. The Astros had not been shut out for a club record span of 70 games until they were blanked by Oral Hershiser back in the middle of June. There's Spillman. They've been shut out now 6 times this year. And they're scuffling for runs tonight, trailing 4-0 in the 7th. It's a 1-1 count on Young. Ed Ott, the bullpen coach, along with Juan Augusto, who is ready to go. Leary makes the toss, and Benzinger had to stretch a little bit to make that play on out number 2 with Hatcher going to second. Harry Spillman now.
Got to hand it to Leary. He's made all the plays tonight. That's a tough one because a lot of pitchers with their follow-through aren't able to react quickly enough to get back and make that play. Had it gotten over his head, there was no way in the world anybody's going to get Young at first base. But Leary did a good job of fielding his position.
Harry Spillman, the former Red, is a pinch hitter for Rodon. He's 0 for 5 as an Astro this year, and 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter. Benzinger with a toss to Leary, still in time for the 3rd out to end the 7th inning. No runs, no hits, 1 man left through 7. Leary and the Reds are shutting out the Astros so far, 4-0. Right. Juan Augusto takes over for the Astros. This is his 53rd appearance of the year. He's tied for 4th in the league in appearances. Faces Rolando Rooms, who has fanned twice and grounded out. There's strike 1 to him. 3 and 4 with a save in 52 games. And 2 to Rooms. Juan was a very busy guy on the road trip for the Astros. He appeared 7 times in their 10 games. In the dirt, Biggio gets the angle for the throw and gets Rooms on the strikeout. Rodon fanned 7. That's the 8th for Astros pitching. Rick's numbers: 7 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs, all earned. 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, and the 2 home run balls to Eric Davis.
Well, Rick's saying, why couldn't Davis have been injured tonight? Or at least couldn't play.
Right.
I'd still be in the game.
Todd Benzinger has a hit and a run scored in 3 at-bats. Looking at ball 1. Augusto's made 5 appearances against the Reds, and in 6 innings they've had 13 hits and 6 runs scored against him. Bass and Young are on the go. Kevin Bass makes the catch going away. 2 outs.
Kevin's had a nice return tonight. Been on base a couple of times, has a base hit, a stolen base, and now an outstanding defensive play. Nice to have you back, Kevin.
Caught up with that one nicely for out number 2. Jeff Reed's the hitter now. He is 2 for 3. Augusto pitched 1 inning in that 18-2 rout at Riverfront. Gave up 2 hits and a run. There's ball 1 to Reed with Ron Oster waiting. 4-0 Cincinnati. 2 outs in the top of the 8th. It'll be Biggio, Ramirez, and Bass due up in the bottom of the inning. Reed hits one right on the button into center field. He has a 3-hit night.
Who is this guy?
Well, the Astros knew about him. He was hitting .375 against them when the game started.
Been some guys having some sensational years against Houston pitching this year. Will Clark, you expect him to, and you expect Tony Gwynn to have a great year. But Jeff Reed.
Oster gets one into right field. And the Reds continue to collect base hits here in the 8th inning. Now the pitcher Leary will be up. Oster's now 2 for 3 with a walk. Leary discards the jacket, and with a 4-0 lead, his club has collected 11 hits. So he's feeling pretty good right now with a hit and an RBI in addition to his work on the mound.
That number 7 and 8 spot in the Cincinnati order has been very productive tonight.
Yes, it has. And the number 3 spot, with Davis unloading a couple of tape measure home runs, has figured very prominently too. Ball 1 to Leary. Of course, the Astros bullpen was so phenomenal during that streak in early June. It did not figure to stay that way for months at a time. And now it seems it's kind of a bullpen slump collectively. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cubs beat the Phillies today 9-2. Montreal tonight kept pace with a 4-1 win over Pittsburgh for Mark Langston, who's 10-3. He should have enough innings in now to qualify for the ERA listings, and he'll be the league leader. Leary sends Billy Hatcher moving for a running catch into left center to end the top of the 8th inning with no runs on 2 hits, no errors. The Reds strand 2 more, but through 7.5, it's a 4-0 lead for Cincinnati.
Well, it looks like the Kriz family is out in force tonight. Don Kriz of the HSA and his family in one of the booths taking on the action. Hey, boys. How are you? Well, the score right now 4-0 Reds, and with a break in the action, here's a word from Hilton Hotels.
Accommodations arranged through Hilton Hotels, now offering double points to Hilton Honors members using the American Express card at participating hotels. Only at Hilton. Tim
Leary has been rolling along. He has been just super. tonight. Going into the 8th inning, he's given up only 5 hits and, of course, no runs.
And he's helped himself at the plate. He's thrown some wicked pitches, especially back in the 3rd when he had a 1st and 3rd and 1 out situation. He fanned Biggio and Ramirez back to back. So Leary pitched out of that problem spot, allowed his club a chance to score more runs, which it did. Now he works with a 4-0 advantage to Biggio. Craig is 0 for 2 with a walk. The Reds have a dozen complete games this year. Biggio looks at ball 1. Of course, with John Franco and Rob Dibble in their bullpen, and Norm Charlton has given them some good work too. They're generally in very good shape when they take a lead to this stage of a ball game. 2 balls and no strikes. But they'll take any innings Leary can give them here beyond this point. It's 3-0. Biggio walks. The last thing on earth Leary wanted to do, his 3rd walk of the game, comes to the leadoff man in the 8th inning with a 4-0 lead.
He's kind of slingshotting that ball up there.
Well, that's a signal to the Reds bullpen, and they'll get Rob Dibble fired up right now. As Rafael Ramirez stands in, he got an infield hit on a slow hopper to short. He's 1 for 3. Earlier bounced into a double play and struck out. Ramirez taking all the way, falls behind 0-1 as Dibble, and he can really fire.
That's only his 3rd warm-up pitch. He's already popping the mitt.
They said he was clocked on an intentional walk, throwing a pitch at 89 this year, Bill.
I believe it.
It gets away and back to the screen. Biggio goes to 2nd on the wild pitch by Leary.
This happens a lot of times. You're rolling along, you've got excellent stuff, and then all of a sudden you say, well, I know I can finish this game. I'm going to bear down here in the 8th inning. And you get out of your rhythm.
Biggio's the 3rd Astro to reach 2nd against Leary. Only 1 has reached 3rd. The count 1-1 now. Kevin Bass is on deck. One ball and 2 strikes. In the dirt, but Ramirez went fishing. Strikeout number 6, and he also has 11 groundouts. So 17 of the 22 outs are either strikeouts or ground balls.
Well, it's always nice to get a little help.
Right field, Kevin Bass.
Here's Kevin Bass. He's 1 for 3. Last time up, bounced into a force play at 2nd and barely beat the relay throw at first, showing he can still run nicely. There's a strike. And then Kevin stole 2nd base in the 6th inning, his 10th steal of the year. Well, you'd figure that his mentality would be, let's make up for some lost time here for the next few weeks. 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, sometimes that can lead to problems for a player when he thinks that way.
Well, and plus we don't know how sore he might get too. That's an afternoon game tomorrow. If he gets any swelling overnight, he might not be able to come back as quickly. They'll have to take it easy with him.
2 balls and a strike. Eric Anthony got some big league seasoning, and he has now some ideas about what to do the next time he comes up with a big league club. So the experience would be a positive one, we'd think, for him too. And also you would expect that shin guard to stay on the rest of the year for Kevin Bass. Don't risk another foul ball off that shin. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
We're seeing a lot more of that, aren't we?
Yes, you are.
I guess every game you watch nowadays, you'll see 2 or 3 players on each team with a shin guard on. I think that has a lot to do with the split finger pitch.
Yep, it dives very sharply at the last moment, producing a lot of ground ball fouls off the legs of the hitters. Bass stayed on that one and got it into right. Here's Rooms throwing to the plate, and Biggio will score. That breaks the shutout spell of Leary. Bass picks up RBI number 22 in his welcome back game as an Astro to make it 4-1 Cincinnati now.
Well, Kevin has a couple of hits tonight, a stolen base, and an RBI. I'd say he's made his presence felt in a hurry. Biggio coming all the way. I'll tell you, Rooms looked like he's left-handed and threw it with his right arm.
So Bass was able to make nice, solid contact. Leary may be tiring a little bit. Scott Breeden wants Rob Dibble. So Dibble will come in right here to face Glenn Davis.
Well, they're not going to fool around, and really I don't blame them, because Pete Rose knows better than anyone the ability of the Astros to come back this season. They have done it on a lot of teams.
Dibble has been clocked at 100 a few times this year. He comes in now to face Glenn Davis, who is 0 for 3 with a ground out, a pop-up, and a strikeout. And Dibble is having a big strikeout year with 53 appearances, 6 wins, 3 losses, and the save. He got that save, the first of his major league career against the Astros here in April. Check out those numbers, Bill. 102 strikeouts in only 70 innings.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he's the first reliever to record 100 or more than 100 strikeouts since Ron Robinson did it in 1986. Robinson that year had 117 and 116 innings. That's not near the ratio that Dibble has.
Well, Eric Davis has seen a lot of strikeouts from his vantage point in center. The outfielders usually don't get a whole lot of business when Rob Dibble goes to the mound.
Davis is saying, hey, we can stand right here and chat while he pitches.
Dibble's been blowing hitters away all year. He had a trip, though, to the disabled list. He's been fined a couple of times. He's had a few incidents hitting batters. So it's a mercurial Rob Dibble who comes in.
Reminds you a little bit Robosky. Remember how he used to run in, give him that glare?
Yes.
Run all around the mound. And Dibble has that same type of mentality, doesn't he?
And with that delivery, too, Bill, he can really throw hard, but doesn't always throw to the proper spots in the strike zone, so the hitters are loose against him. Well, he's going into a Robosky-like trance now, looking around towards center. But Dibble, one of the colorful characters in the game right now. Can you imagine Rob Dibble and Mitch Williams in the same bullpen?
Oh, my goodness. They'd have to get a stronger song than Wild Thing.
It gets away, and Bass will go to second. It's a wild pitch on the first pitch from Dibble.
Well, it's pretty safe to say that Dibble doesn't nibble. Comes right after you. And that time Reed couldn't even handle it.
The count, 1 out, 4-1 Cincinnati, last of the 8th. Davis hits a bouncer to third. Quiñones gets him. That's out number 2. Ken Caminiti will be next. He's 0 for 3. The Astros have had a lot of looks, said Rob Dibble, 6 of them this year. He got the save April 10th, the first time they saw him this season, in an 8-3 win with 2 scoreless innings. Then he got the win 2 days later, the next time they saw him, with a scoreless frame. There's strike 1.
So much a part of Dibble's game, too, is intimidation. That high leg kick that you talked about a little earlier, and the high speeds at which he throws the ball. He doesn't have to be right on the spot, right on the corners, like some other pitchers. He can just reach back and fire it, and then let intimidation do the rest.
Caminiti. Line, and he hit a bullet, but Ron Oster was there to glove it. And that, on that hard hit ball, ends the 8th inning. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 man left. Through 8, it's 4-1. The Reds on. And in September, on to St. Louis to play the Cardinals. Enos Cabell joins us. Bill Worrell headed for the field for the postgame show. 9th inning opens with Juan Agosto dealing a strike to Mariano Duncan, who's 1 for 4. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike. John Franco is getting loose in the Cincinnati bullpen. It appears we'll see him for the last of the 9th, and he's a tough one to beat. Base hit into right for Duncan. He's now 2 for 5. Well, the Reds are giving some people a chance to play, of course, with Alfredo Griffin playing shortstop in Los Angeles, and Willie Randolph at second base. Mariano Duncan, except for injuries, Enos, wasn't going to get too much playing time. But with the injuries in Cincinnati, he's getting a lot of it.
Well, he's showing, too, that he can still play, too, because he was suspect because he hit so bad. You know, they want him to switch hit, and over here, he's come over here, and he's hit mostly right-handed. And that's helped him because that's where he has all his power, on the right-hand side.
Quiñones 0 for 4, struck out the first time looking. It gets away. It hit the coach, Lee May. Glenn Davis makes a throw to second, and it's safe. Duncan is in. It's an error on Agosto.
Watch Juan right here. He throws a good throw over there, and Glenn just doesn't seem like he wants to catch the ball. That ball should have been caught unless it moved on him at the last minute.
Well, Duncan beat the play at second, although it was a close one because Davis didn't have far to go. The error was given to Agosto. That might be changed later. Agosto turned. Billy Doran had made a feint toward the bag a little earlier and then wasn't going. Eric Davis is on deck as Quiñones bats. And the bunt is fouled. No balls and a strike. Doran, Hatcher, and Young are due up in the bottom of the 9th for the Astros.
You know, there's one thing as the Astros have been playing for coming off the road trip. They did not play good baseball when they were on the road, and that really hurt them because they could have scored more runs in instances where it might have turned the team around, but they made a lot of mistakes, and you cannot do that when you're in a pennant race.
Pitch inside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And also, Bill, it might be that their bullpen is starting to get tired. So you're going to have your starters come in there and go 7, 8 innings. And the Astros have not done that other than Deshays and Scott.
2 balls and a strike to Quinones. 4-1 Reds in the 9th inning.
And like a lot of the players have said, even in the newspapers and then on radio and TV, they're saying that they really want to get started. They're going to have to win 2 or 3 games in a row before their confidence will build up again when they won like the 16 out of 17. They have to do that. They have to win 2 or 3 in a row.
The bunt is fouled off, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Or, like you said, Kevin Bass might be the player to come later, and he might be the guy that can spark them onto a championship. Somebody's got to take these reins and whip this horse right here.
That's what they're looking for. The Astros are playing 500 balls since the All-Star break, 14-14, and they realize they need to step up the pace. Pittsburgh and Chicago come in after the visit by Cincinnati here for 3 games this weekend. Runner going, and it's bunted but foul for the strikeout. So Quinones strikes out, and Duncan will have to go back. He appeared to be well on his way toward achieving 3rd easily. That'll cost the Reds a base.
You know, one thing playing my first manager in the big leagues was Earl Weaver, and he called us in and he had a meeting. He cussed half of us out and patted half of us on the back, but he said one thing: from here on out, I want you guys to play like this is the last game that you're ever going to play in your life. We ended up winning the championship.
Really? Here's the intentional walk to Davis. It's an interesting motivational tool. And you'd think that would be a very good strategy, but can it work for that many games?
Well, we were 8 games out of first place when we went into this, and we won like 26 out of 28. And I tell you, after we got off the field, every game, I mean, you were so tired, they had to send somebody to go get some milk or beer.
He got every last drop out of you guys. The intentional walk.
But you have to want it that bad. And it, you know, it's called chest testing time. Is your chest going to hold out? Is your heart going to hold out? And you have to turn it up another gear and say, I can rest October 25th or 26th. I can rest then. Right now, I don't have any time.
Art Howe is indicating something to Juan Augusto here with runners at first and second and 1 out. And Herman Winningham coming up. The Giants have scored early against the Dodgers. It's 4-0 in the 2nd inning. San Francisco leading. So with the Astros trailing 4-1, they're looking for a big reversal. First of all, it'll have to be done from the mound against Winningham in this situation.
Well, he needs to keep the game close because they're only 3 runs down, and they've come back from a lot farther than that.
Winningham sitting .231 in 130 at-bats. He looks at ball 1. He has 2 homers. He's driven in 7. He's worked some with Harry Walker this year on his batting stroke. Runners go, and the throw goes to third. Safe. Mariano Duncan got his steal of third, and Eric Davis behind him moved up to second.
So that's what Artie did when he came out. He said, watch Duncan because he steals third probably better than he steals second. And you watch this ball is down. Biggio cannot get the ball out of his glove quick enough. He's safe.
Duncan's 2nd steal of the game, his 7th of the year, and now that'll set up the intentional pass to load the bases. No, it won't either. The infield is in. There's a strike. Wouldn't be putting a man on. Left-handed hitter in this situation. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Just looked as if they were going to do that.
Well, Juan, he takes so long to get rid of the ball because he kicks his right leg so high when he goes into his windup. So you get 2 or 3 extra steps that you usually don't on any other pitcher.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Winningham fouls off the breaking pitch, and it's still 1-2. Yeah, this is the guy Augusto wants to get because Rooms, a right-handed batter, is next. So with the infield in, they'll hope that Winningham can't hit one through the holes or over them.
Needs to throw him a good breaking ball here, a sharp breaking ball.
He tried. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Atlanta beat San Diego 6-5 in the first of their twin bill. And the Cardinals blanked the Mets 3-0. We'll have all the scores on the postgame show. There's a strikeout of Winningham. Augusto gets number 3.
Here, Winningham, he said that was a breaking ball. And that was a good breaking ball right here. This is a sharp slider. Watch this. This is probably the best pitch he threw today. Great pitch.
That's Augusto's 3rd strikeout and the 10th for the Astros tonight. Rolando Rooms has fanned 3 times. He's 0 for 4. There's ball 1 to him. With Duncan at 3rd and Davis at 2nd, and the Reds leading 4-1 in the 9th. Base hit into center. 2 runs will score. And the Reds have a 6-1 lead on the 2-run single by Rooms, scoring Duncan and Davis.
Watch this pitch right here. See how high he gets it. He gets it up high, right above the belt. And that pitch can be hit. You don't want to throw the pitch there. You want to keep the ball down, or you want to get the ball inside on Rooms.
Rooms now has 26 runs batted in. The hitter is Todd Benzinger. He's 1 for 4. The Reds have collected 13 hits in this game. Pitch out, ball 1.
Seems like something's wrong with Juan, because even on the pitch out, he looked over at first and then he didn't throw the ball a good pitch out. I don't know if he's controlling his pitches well or his arm is hurting.
Runner goes. Biggio throws not in time. Rooms gets a stolen base. That's his 7th of the year.
Biggio doesn't have a chance, not when you take that long to get rid of the ball.
That's the 4th steal of the game for the Reds.
Watch how slow it takes him to get rid of this ball. By the time the runner's almost sliding.
1-1 the count. And Benzinger with the inside out swing slices it foul. 1-2 now. The paid attendance tonight is 36,044. Total 37,804. 6-1 Cincinnati. Ramirez on a hop. Gets Benzinger to win the top of the 9th inning. It's 2 runs on 2 base hits with 1 error and 1 man left. Going to the last of the 9th inning, Cincinnati has a 6-1 lead. The Cincinnati Reds take a 6-1 lead into the last of the 9th inning. And it's Rob Dibble now, with the extra runs having been scored, who's in to try to finish it out. John Franco had been up earlier for the Reds. Dibble earlier this season, when he got that first major league save in this ballpark, had pitched the 8th inning. And normally John Franco pitches the 9th in a fairly tight ball game. At the time it was an 8-3 final, but at the time it was a 5-3 win. When Dibble came in, he took off his uniform in the clubhouse and threw it in the washing machine. They had to come get him and say, hey, put it back on. You're pitching the 9th. So he left it on this time, and he's facing Billy Doran. He's 0 for 3. Throwing strike 1.
You'll hear a lot about this kid before he's finished, because he throws the ball over 100 miles an hour, and then he does some funny things.
1 ball and 1 strike. Dibble tossed a bat up on the screen after one tough performance this year. Was fined for that. Been fined a couple of other times. He hit Willie Randolph and said he was sending a message. Hit Tim Tuffle of the Mets. That started a fight, and that helped to put Dibble on the disabled list with a problem in his right elbow. He said they were grabbing him from behind and grabbed the elbow. 3 balls and a strike.
I knew I threw my bat on the screen one time when I was in County Mac League. The only thing, my father was the umpire. He kicked me out of the game and sent me home.
That's a no-no.
That's a no-no, especially in my family. But then I got a whipping when he got home.
Dibble's quite an interesting personality, though. He had that baseball from his first major league save, and he put it up on his mantle at home. And apparently he has a rather large dog who got it and ate it. So he got the ball from his 100th strikeout a few days ago, and he's putting that where the dog can't get it.
He will be a classic.
That's out of play down the left field line for Winningham, and the count 3-2 on Billy Doran.
Billy needs to hit right here, if not only for the Astros, he needs it for himself. He has to get his confidence back because he is the leader on this team, and he's one of the forces that have to drive them to a pennant. You need people to push other guys along, and Billy's that type of person.
There's a foul tip, and Reed holds it for the strikeout. That's Dibble's first K, and the 7th for Reds pitching tonight.
Number 28, left fielder, Billy Hatcher.
Dibble trying to nail it down for Tim Leary, who could go to 8 and 9 with a win. Now Billy Hatcher 0 for 2 with a walk. Aha. He won't be using that one tomorrow night. One ball and 1 strike. Put that one in the discard bin. Two and 1. Well, you remember Brad Leslie, who pitched for the Reds back in 82, 83. He was another interesting guy. He liked to bounce around on the mound.
Relievers are like that.
Yes, they are. Rooms catches it, 2 outs. Gerald Young is next. Dibble is only 25, and he made an immediate impression last year in 37 games in the big leagues when he struck out 59 and 59 in the 3rd innings. He had 5 innings of work last year against the Astros and did not allow a run. Young's 1 for 3. Looking at ball 1. Tomorrow an afternoon contest. Jim Deshaies and Ron Robinson doing the pitching, and then we'll be back on HSE Sunday afternoon with Jim Clancy and Tom Browning. 2-0 the count. Opponents hit only .207 last year against Rob Dibble. 2 balls and a strike. This year he's doing even better. They're hitting .171 against him.
He throws the ball so hard too, and watch him. He'll look away and hit his foot with his glove.
Young lifts one to Eric Davis in center. And the Cincinnati Reds have captured the opener of this weekend series. Rob Dibble closes it out. The Astros go down in order in the 9th inning. Final score for this Friday night meeting between the Reds and the Astros, 6-1 Cincinnati. Well, the Cincinnati Reds have been playing good baseball lately. They have won this game tonight 6-1. That makes it 10 wins in their last 15 outings. And the Reds, who trailed the Giants by 11.5 as they took the field tonight, are showing that they are all but giving up on the 1989 season. They still have plenty of fight left in them. Tonight's Texaco star of the game is Eric Davis, who made things happen with his bat. with 2 home runs, 3 runs batted in. He also had a single the first time up. So Eric Davis with a big offensive night, saluted by Texaco, the star of the American Road. Now here's Bill Worrell on the field. Bill?
All right, Bill Brown, thank you so much. Well, we talked about it earlier. Eric Davis used to not like to come to the Dome and hit very much, but it looks like now you've adjusted quite well to this building.
Well, this has been a mixture of a lot of things. I never really had a lot of success here in the Dome, and that was mainly because of Mike Scott and Nolan Ryan, and the guys really pitched well in the Dome. But, you know, I wanted to come in there this year and really concentrate and not worry about my past years having in the Dome, but just coming there trying to see the ball and hit it somewhere hard.
Eric, on that first home run, you got a fastball to hit. The second home run, it looked like you were really sitting on that curveball.
Well, I was looking for a breaking ball because I had just pulled his fastball down the line and just missed a home run, and he threw me a couple fastballs away, so I know he didn't really want to give me another fastball to hit, so I was looking breaking ball all the way.
Boy, it's just been a terrible year for the Cincinnati Reds. I've never seen so many injuries hit one team all at the same season.
Well, you know, that's what they say. That's part of the game. But, you know, we just have to, you know, keep striving because we're not out of the race until we're officially eliminated. But, you know, we've had injuries, and, you know, we don't want to make excuses because, you know, we just haven't been playing good, consistent baseball. But it's kind of hard to be consistent when you don't have your horses out there day in and day out.
It really has been tough because every year everybody says, well, is this going to be the year Cincinnati puts it together? I know you get tired of hearing that every year.
Well, yeah, you know, because every time we come to spring training, you know, about us being the bridesmaid and not being able to win the big one. I think by us, you know, getting 12 or 11 games back, it really helped us a little bit because it took some of the pressure off us, you know, coming down August and September. But, you know, you never want to be where we are right now. But, you know, if you have anything to learn from this is that, you know, you can't take anything for granted.
Well, the tough thing I know for Astros fans and for the Astros, they know they still have to play the Reds 8 more times this season. And all of a sudden, you guys have turned the table. You've been awfully tough on this Houston ball club.
Well, every time we play Houston, it's like a little rivalry because they have a good ball club and we feel we have a good ball club. And every time you come to the Dome, it's tough because they, you know, they have that time where they usually rally real good around the Dome. So we wanted to come in there and we wanted to get this first game.
Well, Eric, you had a sensational night tonight. It's always fun watching you play. But, hey, take the day off tomorrow, will you?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay. Eric Davis has been our guest. I guess he's not going to take the day off. He certainly didn't tonight. What a huge night by Eric Davis. And the Reds come away with a victory in the first game of the series.
Eric Davis receives a Pampered in Texas weekend certificate from Del Lago Resort and Conference Center on Lake Conroe. The executive producer of Home Sports Entertainment is Jack Stanfield. Senior producer director of Astros baseball is Mike Anastasiou. The associate producer is Shelley Harper. Technical director Tim Paris. Engineer in charge Lynn Crabb. Remote facilities provided by John Crow Productions. Don't forget to join us for our next HSE telecast. The Astros take on the Reds again Sunday, live at 1:30 p.m. Stay tuned. Coming up next is our post-game report. We'll have scores, highlights, and a scouting report on the Astros' next game. Again, the final tonight was the Reds 6 and the Astros 1. This has been an exclusive presentation of Home Sports Entertainment.